And we're back with another episode of On the Record with Tiffany and Kevin. And I am free today, you all. I don't have Kevin cha-chink asking questions and shutting me down. So y'all gonna get full steam Tiffany this whole time. So I don't know if you're ready for this, Justin. Today I have my favorite co-host, don't tell Kevin, Reginald Ballard.
What's up?
And I have a special guest, Justin. And Justin, tell our audience a little bit about you and why you're here today.
I am here today because I think we are talking about dialysis and the mistreatment of our people and how we're targeted to be on dialysis, to wait longer for transplants, and to make money for a large industry.
Justin,
I think that's why I'm here.
That's a good.
Very interesting right there.
Yep, that's a, today
it's so rare to find a doctor such as me. What I had, the doctor that I had when I was on dialysis, my doctor, man, he advocated for my kidney, and he didn't, and even it was his own private dialysis clinic that he didn't want me there. He said, hey, man, we got to get you off. We got to get you out of here. And I was out within 8 months. I think I was out. I was in and out. So because he was like, hey, he the one that hooked me on with the pair donor. My wife was my donor, even though we was a match, but her kidney was smaller than me, and we got another one from somewhere else. But he's like, yeah, you don't have to have a person that match you. You just have to have somebody willing to give. And he was like, because we had a setback, I had to get my heart. There was some situations with my heart. So he said that I wouldn't have been in there to 8 months if it wasn't for my heart. When I had to do my heart. So he's like, man, we got to wait another 6 months. He said, look, I want to get you out of here. I don't want you standing here long. And like I said, that's a rare occasion because, like you said, Justin, it seems like it's built for us. It's like built for us to keep us like in this situation and to always steer us toward that situation instead of trying to head it off with the new medications they have to prolong, your kidney situation and all that. We don't have that information, and they don't provide that information to us.
And that is why I invited Justin on today, because literally the way that I heard about Justin was he is in a book called How to Make a Killing. And when I read the book for the first time, I was just floored at the depth of what I was listening to. But Justin's story, I couldn't sleep afterwards hearing it. And I actually contacted the writer of the book, Tom Miller, because of Justin, because I had to know if he had gotten a transplant, because everything he had been through was so, it was just so harrowing. And I just felt like this could be my son. Mm-hmm. And if somebody did this to my son, I'd burn him down for it. Justin, tell our audience what I'm talking about. Can you tell them first, start them with how you lost your kidneys, and then a little bit about what you did prior to this in terms of your health. Because you were a very healthy person.
Well, let me start and add with what Reginald was talking about going to a private clinic. Let's start there. beyond him having a private clinic, this is a duopoly. So you either go to Fresenius or you go to DaVita. If you can't go to either, your other option is going to the hospital. Now, they only allow you to go to the hospital when you're at critical condition. So let's say we do dialysis every other day. If you go to the hospital, you will probably have 5 days in between. So when you go at critical condition, you have problems with your arteries, you have problems with your heart. And after so long, it builds up and you'll either have cardiac arrest or a heart attack, which I had cardiac arrest last year, died for 3 days. So you get stuck in these positions. And from what I learned, it's a method. What they would do is they would target you. They would say you're insubordinate, or for me, they actually slandered my name and lied and everything else. And
this was all because what was the catalyst that started all of that?
What started this is because I didn't act like the black man that they thought I should. I chose to write Senator Isaacson before he died. I got a petition started with my advocate. And after that, we found out that there's no oversight. So all the information that I sent stating, and the reason I was sending this information is because they didn't have enough workers. And I'm wondering, with taxpayers' money, why is there not enough dialysis patients? And they were sending us to the hospital. And so I didn't think that was right. I found out.
So you were asking questions. You were simply asking questions.
And this was the biggest question. There was nowhere in the facility that I found a number to do any of this or to do this. So what I did was I took pictures of the outside of the facility to show, I think it was guest services I may have called, that there was nowhere for us to call, that this was going on. We were being turned around, sent to the hospital. The next morning I walked into
y'all weren't being dialyzed, and you were being sent to the hospital to be dialyzed.
Sent to a hospital.
And there was nobody you could call at the company.
Workers.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So you asked a question about that. You said, hey, why is this happening? And that started what you're about to tell us about.
That started the ball rolling down the hill.
So what happened next? After you asked the question and hey, why are we being dialyzed elsewhere? Well, I got off the phone and I thought something would be done. Mm-hmm. And the next morning I get there and the regional director is there and the facility administrator, and they're there with the papers I signed when I started dialysis, saying, oh, you won't take pictures of the facility and this and that. And they had already said, well, you're terminated for this. And I do contracts quite often. I think you asked me what I do. Mm-hmm. I work for the film industry. I've done things for Stranger Things, Coming to America 2. I did Kevin Hart's first 4 or 5 movies. So you're a stunt man. You do.
I'm a stunt man, but I sign contracts on the daily. So I read everything. So I asked them the next thing is, let me add this to you. I was already on the dialysis chair. What they do is it's a scare tactic and a building tactic. They'll get multiple people around you when you're there by yourself. You're sitting on a chair, and I had to make that known that when my blood is being sucked out, I don't want to talk about harsh things, because that makes the algorithm of your heart go up, that makes your blood pressure go up. And needless to say,
well, that
has happened.
Really, you shouldn't even have to explain all of that. It should just be a simple matter of my personal space is my personal space, and I'm going through
it's never your personal space, and that's what I found out. A little later, I told them I read the letter and it said that you were not supposed to take pictures of any patients or any staff members. And I told them very clearly, I didn't take pictures of anybody. I took pictures of the outside of the front of your building because you have no person to call when you're not opening a facility when we're supposed to be in. They looked around, they tried to figure every other way, but they couldn't at that point. But that began the retaliation. It pissed them off that I did not act or act out. I talked very normally. I actually got very quiet and talked very slowly because as a Black man, I know the procedure, right? For real.
Yeah.
Just to be truthful.
We all know that.
In this particular facility, this facility administrator, she was livid at the fact that I did that.
She wanted you to get out there and clown.
So later I found, because they would do from that moment, they did everything they could to get me to react. They would take away my medicines. I am low in iron and I have to have high protein, so I would get a protein bar. They wouldn't give me protein bar, but they would walk around with all of this candy. They would walk around with candy buckets. Kid you not. They would walk around with candy buckets. And I said, instead of giving me candy, why don't you give me a protein bar? Mind you, I have worked on my health. I have 3 degrees in yoga. I have 15 years of martial arts, black belt in jiu-jitsu. I work on my anatomy and I work on my health. So me being in this situation, it is a so happening, which that's later on in the story. I don't even think I was supposed to be on dialysis. But let's go forward. So they messed with me. They've tried to terminate me over and over. At this point, I had an advocate. Her name was Arlene Mullins. Mm-hmm. And she was notorious. She would say, "Oh, Justin, what are they doing now?" And she would be up here, and they saw her a few times before they made their big move. The first time they saw her, she came up here. She came up here with another person, and she talked to them. She talked to my doctor. She said what they weren't doing right and that they were illegally terminating me and they had to let me back in.
Let me ask you a question. What you mean by terminate? Like take you off of the dialysis?
No, because again, it's a duopoly, so it's only 2 places. What they would do is, they would say that you're no longer allowed to go to DaVita. You can't go to the Fresenius. And for me, because
when they terminate someone, what typically happens, at least what we've seen over and over again, is now in Texas. There are other dialysis companies, so you don't have just DaVita and Fresenius, but in many places they have 85% of market share.
Well, let's get to that too. There was a place that I was recommended to go, and because they had put so much in my files, I could not go to a private center. See, at a point when I had so much proven, they were ready to get rid of me, but they had already lied and put so much into my file that I wasn't able to go anywhere. And let's go a little bit further.
So tell me, like, how do you know that you were labeled as non-compliant, and then you weren't able to go? Did you try to go somewhere else, and they told you, "Hey, we're not taking you"?
Yeah, I tried to go somewhere else. I think it may have been around Christmas or something like that. Mm-hmm. I remember them. I had done so much because also in this clinic, they were trying to get rid of all the Black workers. Now, this was something that I noticed because it was all Black patients there, and the Black workers. And I started talking to them as I started to petition for the patients. You know, some of the workers, they were there to help, and slowly but surely, the facility administrator, she got rid of all the black workers, and it was just white workers and all black patients in her clinic. And I know that sounds very crazy, but it's very, very true.
Where do
Later
you live?
on, she had gotten
Tell
all
us
them
where you
to be
live
white
again.
workers. Huh?
Tell us where you live again. The city.
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia,
So,
which is
all white workers
predominantly-
in Atlanta, Georgia.
which is a predominantly black facility. But I did go to a nice facility. I went in a predominantly white area, but it was definitely a lot of black workers. Let me lead you. Once she got to all white workers, she had this lady, Tracy. Now, this was another thing that they did at this particular facility. I don't know if I should name the facility, but maybe so. No? Okay.
No, you don't have to name the facility.
Yeah. Well, what did they do? Okay. After they got rid of all the black workers, they had this this one worker. They would routinely lose my blood. Right? They would.
What does that mean?
Yeah, we would take blood samples. I'm anemic. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want them taking blood samples as much as they did already, but for me to take it on Monday and they coming back to me on Wednesday, oh well, we don't know where to sample and we want to take it. It was a no for me. It was a no. It was a no because I don't have enough blood. I've already had several blood transfusions, and for you to lose my blood, which I found out personally that I have blood that's 1 in 3%. So I really want to know where all my blood is going. AB positive, which in the movie industry, I've just noticed, there's a lot going on with blood, and there's a lot of questions that's not answered. And for me to be in Hollywood and all the stuff you hear about blood, seriously, and then to go over into the medical industry and me just sitting here and wondering. And again, my blood is 3%. I'm the universal plasma donor and the universal reciprocant, meaning my blood transmutates. And when you read things like Henrietta Lacks, how they took her cells and they're using them to this day. Or when I work on movies like Lovecraft Country, and I was in the same place that they shot the Tulsa, Oklahoma, and they also shot Hunters, which they talk about Operation Paperclip, which was when our government brought over the Nazis. And in that same movie, they talked about the Nazis saying, oh, well, we'll move down to the South. Well, I grew up in Mississippi. So that made me look at when Tuskegee experiment was, which was shortly after. And then if you think that they worked on us for then another 50 years because they went from the Jews to the blacks, and then knowing the melanated traits, and that's what the Nazis were studying, right? So the ways to target, why is our food so poisoned? Why am I in a better position than most dialysis patients? I just lost a friend a day or so ago that was with me for Juneteenth of last year. I went up to Washington. Mm-hmm. I had stayed silent for a while because honestly, I just wanted to finish my career. I was working for, leading comedian, actor. I was still able to do everything. Even in my worst position, I was probably stronger and a better athlete than people in their best. Mm-hmm. So people, even to this day, they don't know that I'm going through this. I become vocal because last year I died. I died for 3 days, and it became a reality that my silence was helping them. It became a reality that if I never said anything, I look at the people that have died in this battle with me. I began to talk about my friend, Reverend Stephen Turner, that died 2 or 3 days ago. And he was up there with me in Juneteenth in Washington speaking about it. And he was just up there. We went again the last day in February for Black History Month to speak, because they went up there in 86. They went up there in 2001, and we still have no reform. We still have no oversight. In 2017, they put the wrong tube in my arm.